This is 210 Local Music Podcast. We bring art, music, and entertainment to you straight from the Alamo City in San Antonio, Texas, where the culture of our past and the innovation and creativity of tomorrow collide. We're there. You can find us online at www.210localmusic.com, on Twitter, and don't forget to like our fan page on Facebook. Here's your host, Mario Zamorod.
Welcome to episode 7 of 210 Local Music Podcast. First of all, I have to tell you all how much I love social media. This interview may not have happened for a long time had I not seen Jason from HydraMelody tweet that he wanted to learn how to play the didgeridoo. For those not familiar with the didge, it's the long Aboriginal instrument that sounds like a droning, breathy bass sound. I've had it for a few years and I got really good at making myself think that I was good, but the main point is I immediately tweeted back to Jason saying I'd trade my didgeridoo for an interview. Fast forward maybe a week and a half and you've got this episode. Jason never asked about the didge, which might be best since he'd probably have been unimpressed with it. It's a very poorly made one, plastic instead of actual wood. Nevertheless, I'm very excited to bring you the HydraMelody. I just kind of want to start off with I always start off with one question. Who are you and what do you do?
Okay. I'm Jason. I play bass and I do backing vocals.
And I'm Jordan. I do rhythm guitar and lead vocal.
We'll start off, first of all, what got you guys into music?
My parents. My dad is a huge music fan, and he raised me to be a musician. I mean, he wanted musicians for sons, and that's exactly what he got. And so, you know, I can't thank anybody else other than my parents for getting me involved at such a young age and really opening my eyes to all different aspects and genres of music and just really giving me a passion for it at a very young age.
Did they play music at home at all, or?
All the time. My mom sings, and my dad can play a little bit of piano, but I think that's why he got us into music, was because he didn't get into music to such a late age, and it's easier to learn when you're young. It's easier to learn anything when you're young. And so that was his reasoning behind it. He's like, I always wanted to be a musician, so I'm going to get you guys started early. And it was probably the best gift he ever gave us.
That's what I'm trying to do with my son right now. He's going to be 9 months. I'm starting him early.
Oh, yeah. I was
starting him early.
We were, both my brother and I, were 3 years apart, but we were both 6 when we started piano lessons, classic piano lessons at 6 years old.
So it began with piano?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I think for me it'd be a lot of the same thing. My mom is Welsh, and I don't know what it is about Welsh people, like Celtic cultures in general and stuff, but they're all about song and stuff, so I know for her it's something she grew up with, singing. They all sing. And my dad was just such a huge rock and roll Beatles fan, and I kind of learned all the classics from him, and you know what to appreciate about them. And for being somebody who didn't play an instrument, he was just so well rounded and versed in why these bands were so important rather than they were just popular. So I grew up with the whole believing in the mythology of guitar gods and stuff like that, Clapton and all that. So yeah, I mean, I think it's my parents as well, and honestly, I think the only reason I'm still playing music is probably because they just love music so much that they were supportive. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think that's definitely key. A lot of people don't have that support.
Yeah, I was just going to say, too, they still, till this day, support us. And I think that says a lot, you know, us being the age we are. I don't think we'd still be doing it if we didn't have the support from all of our parents.
Yeah. Do they go to the shows at all?
My dad goes to every single one of our shows.
Wow.
He's our biggest fan.
That's
and
awesome.
He's also our biggest critic, too. He won't be afraid to be like, hey, that song, you guys need to get it together because you were messing around that night. He is so, he's a huge fan, so it works.
Good. Is family support on your side as well?
Yeah, very supportive. They don't. My dad doesn't do the live show thing as much as he used to when he was younger, I guess. He's not the biggest fan of big crowds and stuff, but they're super supportive. I mean, not to say as if they're having conversations like, hey, man, you should think about college again.
I think we're all in that boat,
you know what
too.
I mean?
Yeah.
What are you going to do when you want to get married kind of thing. But I think we wore them out to now that conversation. They've had it so many times.
They don't bring it up anymore.
They don't want to talk about it anymore because they know where it's going.
That's funny.
And I think too, in this day and age, they'd rather us have this and stay busy with this.
Yeah.
I think modern day, so many kids are having kids so early that it's not even appropriate timing.
Yeah.
So I feel like our parents are like, yeah, go
fun,
do this thing.
sow your wild oats.
Exactly. And then when you're ready, then you can start your family. You know.
Yeah,
so
that's
I feel like it's almost my parents see it as keeping me on the right path too.
Yeah.
So
well, that's good. That's good. I think I agree with that too. I mean, I kind of went about it backwards. I started learning at an early age. I started with guitar, then bass, then drums, then 20,000 different instruments. Did it in high school, did jazz band and stuff like that. Got out and immediately went to work and pretty quickly got married. And now I'm like, oh, I can't join a band and just take off now.
Yeah. Life is what happens when you're busy making plans.
Yeah, so I figure, hey, if those who can't interview those who can. So
yeah,
that's why I enjoy it.
And I mean, you're still affiliated with what you love.
Oh,
you
yeah.
know? You may not
absolutely.
be playing the music, but you're still affiliated with things that you love, and that's still really good. So
yeah, thanks. Yeah, I think one of the biggest things for me was that growing up in San Antonio, listening to the music that was around the scene, and not seeing people succeed very much outside of San Antonio or even inside San Antonio, it's tough.
Yeah.
I think the biggest act, aside from recent history, was the Butthole Surfers are from San Antonio.
Yeah.
Nobody
really,
seems
I
to
didn't
know
know
that.
I did not know that.
They don't say, hey, we're from San Antonio.
Yeah.
They don't claim it. They don't care to.
I remember
say it.
buying the Dumb and Dumber soundtrack, and they were on it, and I'm like, who are these guys? I love their name.
Yeah, and they were from here. Now we've got, you guys, Pop Pistol,
Yeah.
Pinata Protest, Girl in a Coma. I think the
And
scene's burgeoning right
And I think
now.
it's one of these things, too, between us and Pop Pistol and Girl in a Coma, we've played numerous shows together.
Oh, yeah.
And, some of us have had more success than others, but we're all proud of each other, and we're all in it for the same reason.
And you have that support.
Exactly.
built in,
And it's
too.
one of those things where, for us, we're grateful to bands like Girl in a Coma because they put cities like this on the map and really get people looking into what true talent there really is here. And it gives bands like us and Pop Pistol and so many other bands a chance to shine because that one band made it out. That's all we need. We just need that one band to make it out.
And to claim that they're from here.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then everyone else will start looking here.
Yeah.
And that's just one of those things for me. I feel like that's been a lot of our drive for the years is just really trying to be that band from San Antonio and pave the way for everyone else that's been in the same industry doing the same things that we've been doing.
So that's
for
your
years.
ultimate goal then. I mean, aside from doing what you love, of course, that's that side aspect of you want the scene to
I
come.
would love to see this scene thrive. I've been in this scene over half my life. I'm 25 now. I played my first show when I was 12 on the main stage at the White Rabbit. I've been doing this literally over half my life. Man. It's one of these things for me. I would love to see San Antonio flourish. I would love to see the talent that I see here huge. I go to places like Austin and Dallas, and they're great and everything, but I really feel like San Antonio is this just unscathed gem that no one has really dove into yet. And one band makes it out and it's great, but there's so many other great bands here. It's just, I feel like the rest of the world's blind to it, and we just need that one band to open everyone's eyes.
Yeah, I think like a lot of people think that it's San Antonio, but it's not just San Antonio. It's the industry is really tough right now, and it's only going to get tougher before somebody finds a solution to why it's they don't develop bands the way they used to anymore. And I think we're unapologetically from San Antonio. We're not embarrassed. We think that the music should speak for itself, regardless of what your band name is, where you come from, where you grew up. If you're a good enough band and you're writing great songs, it doesn't matter where you're from. You know what I mean? And I mean, bands like, at the Drive-In out of El Paso, like kind of
they put them on the map.
It just, did something huge for that town. But I think, we took it to the point where we never thought, well, we're going to wait on a band to make it big out of here. We just want to write the best songs that are they're just good enough to make it out of San Antonio. I think the bands need to focus on that and then not be apologetic and don't blame your town. Blame yourself and do something together and help each other out. Because there's no reason that we can't all make it.
There's nothing wrong with being the band that makes it second to the band that makes it first. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But I feel like there's also nothing wrong
back in the 90s.
Yeah, I feel like there's also nothing wrong with striving to be that first band. You know, at the same time, there's that should be everyone's ultimate goal.
Oh yeah. It's funny. I did an interview with Phonolux a couple weeks ago, and I was talking with Buddy, and he was saying that, we do what we love. We don't find ourselves responsible for bringing the scene. We think it might eventually happen, but it's going to be a while. Yeah. You guys, it seems like you guys feel the opposite, like we're on the verge of it. Is that how you see it?
I think you never know. So we always have a feeling that we're progressing, that we're moving forward. I know that we've taken big steps, but it could be a day, we could get the phone call tonight, or it could be 2 years from now. But I think our
Yeah.
thing is that our number one goal is to get our priorities straight. And I think right now we finally have done that, where we know first and foremost, number one, it's the music.
Yeah.
And that is going to be our focus and the most important thing to us. And then secondly, it's taking that and doing something with it, and giving it the opportunity to grow into something bigger than ourselves and what this band has ever done. But we're not confused about how this works. Without, like anything else, the music industry is a business, and if you don't have a product, what are they going to sell?
Right.
And if you don't have a good marketing plan to push your product, and
how is that going to work?
Yeah, and that's the way the industry has become today. They don't want to do any of that for you. They want to look at you, hear your song, see your marketing plan, see that you already have your website, your videos. It's like they want everything from you. They want to be handed your band.
They don't want to
silver
have to
platter.
work for it.
That's what they want.
You can't afford it. But it's
Makes
exciting
sense.
for us because we get to pick.
Yeah.
And if it's successful, then then it's even more difficult, because then you have to make the choice of, am I willing to split the profits of my hard work?
Right.
So.
And it's kind of a cool idea and a cool thought, because something that I've come into in the past year with Jason being in the band and him being so business savvy is it's almost more fun doing it this way.
Yeah.
Because a lot of bands get scared that once they sign on the dotted line, they're going to lose a lot of their freedom, and they're going to lose a lot of what it is that they got into it for.
Yeah.
Whereas now
since you guys have control,
we have control of that up until that point, and we get to decide how we're marketed. We get to decide our website, our songs, everything up until that point. And so for us, it's kind of fun. It's almost like we get to be our own record label for a little bit until somebody else comes along with the funding.
That's what it comes down to, is the funding. So with that kind of grassroots attitude towards it, I think that's where a lot of musicians are. They're struggling to try to get it together. They're struggling to try to get stuff on mainstream media or even just social media. And I know social media has kind of been a big hit for you guys.
Huge.
You guys have become huge, I think, not just because of the music, but because of that marketing aspect that you guys have taken on. Do you feel that that's a big thing that bands should have to focus on from now on?
Yeah, I think that social media, it used to be that back in the day you had a band, right, before the internet was huge, and then it was a huge plus if you had a website and a MySpace and stuff like that, when those things were just coming around. Now it's a necessity, and it's a prerequisite to you taking anything business-wise seriously with your band. If you don't have a website or way to be accessible to people all around the world in the age of the internet, then you are missing out on the largest market that exists for music right now, or anything really. I mean, that's how people don't just go to shows to discover bands. They check them out on the internet before they even want to pay a ticket price. That's where they go and purchase their music, EPs, anything like that. So it is the most important thing if you want to be able to be accessible to anybody to stumble upon your band or research it. So it's really important. I think one of the biggest confusions too, one of the things we've noticed is there are a lot of bands, some that we know, some that we've seen, some that we've met, who took this but then did it the wrong way, and they decided to do things like purchase likes or purchase followers. And after the conferences that we've been to and some of the people that I've spoken with, and I'm talking like number 2 at Atlantic and stuff like that, they say it's really important that you have your social media, but that you do it in a very honest, earnest, hard way. Like, these people, they have to be genuine, because they see right through that. And unfortunately, so many bands are doing that it's confusing, and it kind of cheapens the idea of bands having a lot of followers or likes or social networking, because people can cheat. But when you see through that, then unfortunately it works against you. But I mean, I think just like you, for instance, thanks to the internet,
exactly,
you're able to do this, and anybody in the world can get their hands on it.
And I'm struggling. I'm like, I just hit 100 likes this morning, and I'm like, oh my god, 100 likes. I need another 100. And all it is just me trying to get out there. I mean, honestly, like I say we all the time when I refer to the podcast and 210 Local Music, but it really is right now at this point just me. I have a business plan in place. I know where I want to go with it, and I know what I want to do with it. And I know it's going to be a fight, tooth and nail, to get there. Especially because I still have that 9 to 5. So it's really important that I don't do something like buy likes or buy fans. I need people that just like you guys, I want people that want to interact with me. I want people that want to listen to what I have to provide content-wise.
Right.
And that's going to build me up.
It's got to be a genuine thing, because I feel like more so than ever, I feel like people want a genuine band, and they want a genuine product, whether it be a band or a magazine or a radio station or anything. They want something honest. They want something really genuine that they can really connect to, and they can really be like, I'm just like those guys. That's what they want. They don't. Yeah. It's not. It's contrived. It's less about. It's less about that rock and roll god. Yeah. And it's more about like, these guys are just like me. Yeah. Hardworking. It's become way DIY. It's become way more like that. And they want to connect with you on that level. Yeah. They want to be able to sit with you at the bar and have a drink, or at a coffee shop and have a strawberry banana smoothie. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that does smell really good.
It does. I think you nailed it earlier with what you were saying about Seattle, because it seems like everybody that we've spoken to, they keep saying one thing. Or major people in the industries on panels that we went to, CMJ and different festivals, they said, we're not looking for that genre, but we're looking for the next Nirvana.
Yeah.
We want a band that is just the real deal. They're artists, they have their own thing, they're original, and they're unapologetic about what they do, and something that people can get behind. You know what I'm saying? Because right now it seems like everything is a product, there's a formula, they know what to do, they wrap it in the candy wrapper they need to make it easy to digest, they stamp it, and then it's a hit.
And it's kind of killed music in regards to like radio and TV, and sometimes movie media even caters to it. And that's one thing that I think is important, especially looking at the bands here, listening to y'all's music, listening to the other bands that are coming out of San Antonio. You guys there's no trickery, there's no pop. I mean, there's a little bit of a pop appeal, but not pop now, because pop now seems to have it's like a 4-letter word now.
Yeah. Yeah.
But pop in the way of it's
P-O-P-P.
Yeah, it's like accessible, it's not abandoning your fans, it's accessible, it's good to listen to, it's appealing music.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's important. And you guys are, I've heard y'all's music, I've watched some of the videos that you guys recently put up, and I can tell that you guys, same thing that I told Phonolux is, I really do feel that we're on the verge of a breakthrough, and bands like you guys and Phonolux, Girl and Coma, Pop Pistol, you guys are all in that same group that is that giant cannonball that's going to break through that wall. It may not, and it may not just be one band. It may take 3 or 4 bands all at once to just burst through.
And it is, going back to the whole Seattle thing, that's when you think about all those bands that made it out of Seattle in that same time frame, it was all grunge music, where they all had their different styles. You had Nirvana, you had your Pearl Jam,
but they were all labeled.
Everybody had their own thing. They were all that grunge category. Yeah. And I feel like what's happening in San Antonio is almost very much that. Yeah. That it's not grunge, but it is this this cultural rock. It's this Latin rock that all of these bands share, yet we're all so different in our own respect. Right. And I really feel like, and listening to music right now, that's just a niche that's not there. There's no big Latin push for anything. Yeah. And I feel like once that first band breaks it, there's going to be those other bands that have to follow through. And I hate to say it, but eventually we might be competition one day because of the fact that the genres are so close together. I would never look at those other bands like that, but in a business sense, it would very much be like that.
Well, hopefully it becomes such a big hit that, like the Nirvana age, they weren't really competition with each other because they were all different flavors of grunge. Yeah. And they catered to different groups. Pinata Protest is one that completely stands out as being like a conjunto punk.
Yes.
I don't really think I've heard anything like that. You've got you guys that are very eclectic. I can't even put a finger on.
We can't either. It's so hard.
Would you classify yourselves, or look at, I would never think to put anybody in a box per se, but would you guys classify yourselves as a particular sound or particular genre?
It's tough because I feel like we're very like you were saying, like a pop sensible kind of indie rock band, but it's undeniable that Jordan, the way he writes music, it's forgive me for using names such as, but he's a huge fan of like the Beatles and Paul McCartney and Steely Dan and Santana and things like that, and it's undeniable when you listen to music that his influences are there, and the way that he writes melodies and chord progressions and stuff like that. And I feel like some of us add rhythmic aspects to that, and it kind of just flourishes and turns into, a hybrid. But yeah, I mean, I think we're pretty eclectic, and I think Latin, jazz, and very rhythmic, kind of cultural music.
Kind of like Hydra.
Yeah.
You guys have many different facets.
I hate to put it in so many words, but if I had to, I would say we're an indie pop rock band with a Latin blues fusion.
Yeah.
It's just
that's all right.
It's a mouthful, but it's I don't know how else to describe it.
No, yeah. I mean, I think that's it. I don't think music is one thing anymore, and I think you guys exemplify that fact that you are so multifaceted. You have so many different influences.
Interested in being the focus of a broadcast? Contact us at 210localmusic@gmail.com or info@210localmusic.com. And don't forget to like our Facebook page.
This is Jordan.
And this is Jason.
We're with HydraMelody.
And you're listening to 210 Local Music Podcast.
How did you guys meet? How did the band form? How did you guys get started?
So you want to tell them about the birth of Hydra, and then...
Sure.
Yeah, go.
How much time do you have? No. Okay. Well, we formed in high school. We're all a bunch of high school friends. We were in a pop-punk band through middle school and the beginning of high school together, and we were done with that scene, and we just started writing music that we didn't know what we were doing. We just went out there and just started writing just crazy stuff, and it eventually formed into HydraMelody. And it made sense at the time, 6 different melodies forming together, making one unique melody, HydraMelody. And we were like, oh, that's so cool, man. That's so awesome. And, we kept it going.
Unique. It's really a good name.
We kept it going for, 6-7 years, and, life happens, and we lost a few of our original members, and Jason here and our new guitar player Taylor stepped up, and I knew Jason from his previous bands, Rounding Third, Young American, July, and I've always respected his writing. I own all of his records, and I'm like, dude, I want to write with this guy. Yeah, I was a fan of his writing before we were even really good friends, And Taylor the same way. Our conga player has a little home studio, and Taylor's first band, Panic the Brave, used to do all of their demos with Manny, our conga player.
Oh, wow.
And I remember Manny would call me up, and he would say, you need to get over here and listen to these guitar tracks this kid just laid down. This kid's 18, get over here right now.
Wow.
I would go over it. We would solo the guitar track and just have the click and just listen to his guitar track and wow, this kid is amazing. And he's 18. Yeah. And so when it finally came to it, it was kind of a no-brainer for us. It was like, well, who can we get to fill these spots? Taylor and Jason. It was just a no-brainer for all of us.
That's awesome.
At first it was just to kind of finish out shows. And
the
chemistry was just so undeniably there. And, we all had such a good time together, and not only was the chemistry there musically, but just as friends and as a band of brothers, and we just decided, let's keep it going. And I feel like over the past 2 years, we've accomplished more in the last 2 years than we ever have as HydraMelody.
And I can definitely say that y'all's presence has become invariably known. Before, oh yeah, I've heard of them. I don't think I've heard their stuff. Now it's like, oh yeah, of course I've heard of them. They're everywhere.
Yeah, and it took somebody like Jason, who's so business savvy, to really show us that we are in the music industry and we're not just in music.
Right.
And that's what we were focused on for so long, is just music. But,
that creates a good foundation.
No, it's a great foundation.
That's,
and you have to get started somewhere,
Yeah.
But it took Jason, who was an outside eye, to really be like, man, I've been a fan of your band as well, and I don't know how you guys haven't made it out yet. And he came into the band and just revamped it, and just, was like, social medias, websites, this is what we need. You have the music. We need to get our business side so that we can be part of the industry.
Yeah.
And it made so much sense. And over the past 2 years, I can't say that we're successful because of anything other than that.
Yeah. That's great.
It's I'll tell you, when you say things like that, it's really weird to hear that many people know us, because we don't feel like that, I guess. You know what I mean? I know we've toured a lot, and I think that we have noticed our shows grow.
Yeah.
But it is it is such a cool thing to hear, because we have worked so hard and we have taken it seriously. But, it's what he is explaining is imagine you and I walk into You know, some guy goes, hey, you know, I keep trying to sell this thing, but it's not taking off, and he's got the ShamWow on his hands. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, okay, you know, you need to market this.
Once you do it properly, then.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden, you know, this little rag, right, that is genius, here it is, that nobody knows about, makes you all sorts of money, and you can live off of it. And I think for us, we just said, okay, so if this is our dream, what does that mean? And it just means, let's just make just enough. Whatever it takes, let's be successful just enough to where we can say that this is our job.
Yeah.
We're not asking for the McMansion in Beverly Hills, although that would be wonderful. But, you know...
In the meantime.
If we can replace what we are doing and what we would be doing regularly to survive and have a family and pay rent with music, that's success. It doesn't get better than I do what I love for a living. And I think that we said, you know what do we need to do that? And... you know, we made up our minds. We're not going to stop until we feel that we've given it every single shot. And we know this next record that we're working on, this is going to be... everything is going to build up for this. And this is going to be our real coming out party. And all the hard work will be focused on this new record that we're writing, you know? Hopefully we'll come out and share exclusives with you.
Oh, yeah, definitely. That would be awesome.
So,
yeah, as far as I know, I'm the only podcast that has anything to do with music in town.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you have other social media outlets or other media outlets like The Current, of course. You've got Backbeat. But nobody's putting it on. I mean, even Puro Pinche, I mean, they do their show, but they don't have just a radio version of it. And I think that's key. Yeah. Because I think it'll help replace that lack of radio.
Crazy.
I hope so.
Bands would be smart to help you out. I mean, we're only helping each other, you know.
Oh, I was actually going to say something about that earlier. You were talking about pop, you know, almost becoming like a four-letter word now, and the radio, the pop that we hear on the radio is just it's almost killing music, you know. And I think back, it makes me think back to when my dad was my age, and you know, he was cruising around in his El Camino, and he would tell me FM was for pop. And AM was where you went to go hear Steely Dan and Led Zeppelin and Pink Floyd, and that was the difference between FM and AM radio back then. Is FM was very much the pop, Temptations, like, you know, all that stuff. But then you flipped over to AM, and you were hearing the stuff that scared people. You know, like you were hearing the stuff that really like was making you trip out. You know, like, and he was like, that's how it was. AM was our indie music, and FM was the popular music, and that's why Steely Dan has that song FM, and he's talking about, you know, FM being that high resolution radio that they couldn't be on because they were an indie band. You know, you should listen to it. It's a great song. I love Steely Dan, but. And I feel like that's something that you're doing now, that, you know, it's not around. There needs to be some sort of radio or podcast presence that is really supporting this indie music, because so much on the radio is not, and especially in San Antonio. You know,
we have
go out,
Texas Tracks.
Yeah, Texas Tracks.
And that's it, though.
And I mean, we're blessed to have that, and San Antonio is. And I think all the bands that are on it are thankful, you know, to no end.
And KSYM, I know they're trying hard too.
Yeah. But it's crazy because you go out to LA, or even the craziest market I could ever think of, Milwaukee. You go to Milwaukee, and they have a radio station that is funded by the city. It's not like a big radio station. It is completely funded by the city, and all they play is indie music.
Yeah, super cool.
Super cool.
Wow.
And it's like,
why don't we have
everybody raves about that station. You talk to anybody between the ages of 15 and 35 there in Milwaukee, and they know exactly what radio station you're talking about. And that is their number one radio station.
Do you think that could be a possibility here?
I would hope so. I mean, I feel like we're such a bigger market than that. Yeah. You know, not trying to down talk Milwaukee. Oh, yeah, it's a great city, but you know, San Antonio's huge. And it's why don't we have that?
Yeah, there's a lot of things that I kind of question when I look around a little bit. I mean, like we were talking about Austin earlier. Yeah, everybody loves Austin. Everybody goes to Austin to see shows.
They have a radio station that's great, and apparently they just got a new one.
Wow.
Yeah.
See, what disappoints me, or not, I don't want to be negative. It doesn't disappoint me, but what surprises me is that we are nearly 167% more populated than Austin.
Yeah.
And yet we're struggling with crayons when everybody else is playing with, you know, computers and all sorts of crazy stuff compared to us. And I know one thing that really kind of inspired me to get started with this just in general, going to specifically see Girl in a Coma, go to their shows, and hear the fans talk about, oh yeah, I love these guys, I love Pop Pistol, I love Hydra, I love, and I was like, how come I don't hear this from the rest of the world? Nobody knows about these gems.
Yeah.
And as I was getting started, I had started first with a blog, and it didn't really go very far at all, but probably one of the last blog posts I had was that when Girl in a Coma opened for the State of the County address and spoke with Judge Nelson Wolff, and he said, I want to put us on the map musically. I want to surpass Austin. With that being said, by somebody so politically powerful, I think there's a chance.
I haven't seen anything be done about it.
That's true. And actually, I wasn't going to get into it on the episode, but I'm hopefully within the next couple of weeks going to approach his office and
that'd be awesome.
See what can be done, because I really think that the bands are doing everything that they can. They're trying as hard as they can. They're struggling. They're all
we need the support from our city.
Yeah, and there's some that I see like the Local 782.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's nice. That's awesome, but there needs to be more because they don't have support.
Yeah, I think that's a really hard transition. I think that step one is San Antonio needs to get over that Austin's an hour and a half north.
Yeah.
Forget about it. It doesn't matter, because if you go to New York, scenes change in an island that is smaller than anything, than that distance, by far. I think it's 13 miles long and mile wide.
2.5 miles wide.
It changes drastically, and they're all still doing really well. I hope that people like you pave the way for that. I think that what it's going to take is somebody to not be afraid to understand that. I understand that our culture is one that is very, how do I explain this? Like, I'm from Mexico. So coming here, I feel pretty at home.
Right.
And I know that the tourist attraction is the Riverwalk and the Mexican influence here and the Mexican food and the mariachis and all that. And I know that that's super important, but I think San Antonio needs to break from that and say that that's a facet of who we are. But we do have incredible rock. We have great indie rock. We have great electronic rock. We have, electronic music. We have so much more to us than just heavy metal and mariachis. And I think that the reason people see us that way is because, and I'll tell you, my uncle lives in London. He says he knows he's arriving in San Antonio when he flies in from Austin and drives a rent-a-car in, when he starts hearing the same music he heard in high school.
Oh, wow.
Even our major radio stations
We're stuck. We're stuck in the past.
You can only play Rush for so long without playing a hit from Coldplay that Europe's already been playing for 6 months. And LA's been doing it, Chicago, New York, and I think that if we did that, I think that there's a huge market here that's not being tapped into. There's a lot of kids that don't really love Kesha, but will listen to the tracks
because
that K-Rock and LA's play.
And I don't know. I don't really know what it is, because I feel like radio stations are losing listeners every day.
Yeah.
Especially here in San Antonio, because you hear the same songs from hour to hour.
Yeah.
And they've lost me. I don't listen to radio at all.
Haven't listened to it on purpose in about 3 years.
Yeah. And hopefully they turn to you. Hopefully that those people come to you. But
that'd be awesome.
It's on.
You need to give them a reason to listen.
And it's on musicians that, if our fans want to hear us, they need to know. Look, unless you're listening Monday night to Kiss, you can hear us here, and that kind of thing. And it's on us as well, We should share that responsibility. If musicians here want to make this a town that surpasses or matches Austin, then we need to do it. We can't wait for, a mayor, a congressman, or anybody to do it. We need to do it and be unapologetically from San Antonio, not be afraid to be from here, not try and be from anywhere else. Be proud of where you're from, and go and travel the country and show them what San Antonio has to offer, because nobody cares when we're in New York or in Brooklyn, anywhere, Chicago, Minnesota. Whenever we play, they don't care where we're from. They're hearing music that they enjoy hopefully most of the time, and they're like, wow,
it doesn't
I haven't really heard a band
or
from
help.
San Antonio before. I can't tell you how many times I've hit where they've never seen a band from San Antonio before, but we've all seen bands from New York, Chicago, LA.
Oh yeah,
because they take it seriously. I think Girl in a Coma's done really great things. They've done huge tours. Bands in San Antonio need to understand this is a great town to be from. This is a huge opportunity and a huge market that can help launch your band. But if you're serious about making it out of San Antonio or making it from San Antonio, that means getting out of San Antonio and touring this country.
Yeah.
You got to go play shows. You got to win fans, because filling the White Rabbit, unless you have incredible music and you found a way to reach out through the internet to people in the industry, you're not going to make it out of the White Rabbit alone.
Yeah. Yeah, for the longest time, it really was just the Rabbit.
Mm-hmm.
And now, I mean, we've got some stuff popping up here and there that's helping.
What are some of the venues you like? You're kind of into.
I haven't been in a very long time, so
Yeah.
the venues that I like, we're talking like Sam's Burger Joint,
So
but
that's
Sam's
a big
Burger Joint
place.
10 years
I
ago,
love Sam's.
Oh, okay, yeah,
which
it
was
has
still
changed.
awesome,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
it has changed. Locally it's been quite a while. White Rabbit 10 years ago.
Yep.
Getting married, having a 9 to 5, and now
Yeah.
a child. It's
Oh, I'm sure.
yeah.
Have you been to like was it 502?
I keep hearing that I need to go there.
You got to check
502 is
it
a
Yeah,
pretty
I've heard the
cool
sound
place.
there is pretty.
The sound there is amazing.
Do you think that's like a big aspect that differentiates locales? Is their sound?
out. Yeah, sound gets bands excited about playing there and the way that they're treated. I think also a place that distinguishes itself as a venue is exciting.
Rather
and
than
then when bigger
just a
bands
bar.
are starting to play, and when bigger bands are starting to play there, that's great. I think it's undeniable that there's new venues like Jack's,
Oh yeah, and Jack's, of course. I've been to.
502. High Tones has a lot of people come out where they're taking that aspect seriously. So we know that going in there, that
You're taken
they have
care of.
they've modeled their business plan specifically to have this large part.
Yeah.
You know,
they
on
said
music.
we want music. Oh
Right.
yeah, and we'll throw in a bar rather
Right.
than we have a bar and let's have somebody come play.
Yeah, let's
Why
do
not have
something on
music
Monday
too?
night.
Yeah.
No. It is about the music, and it's like, well, we'll have some beer too.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, I think that's true. I think the focus needs to be on the music for people to come for the music, and I've heard that a lot too. Their bands will play and they'll play their heart out, and they look up and people are just at the bar drinking,
Yeah.
getting toasted, and then they'll turn and clap a little bit.
Yeah.
I think the guys from 1011 are really doing something great there.
Yeah.
You know, we don't play there often, but it's they were in bands. I mean, I've known all of them for years since I was 12, you know,
Oh,
and
wow.
I was looking up to them in Red
Yeah.
Reverse, like, oh man, those guys are the shit, you know, like I remember that.
Yeah.
And now they own this bar and this venue, and it's great to see them still in the business, even though they're
Right.
not playing anymore.
They're surrounding themselves with
Yeah,
it.
exactly.
They're dedicating
And
themselves to it.
It's just it's one of those things. Like I wish there was more like that, but you know.
Yeah,
you
they're
could-
paying it forward, and a lot of musicians didn't do that. They got bitter that they didn't, or whatever. And these guys were super successful. I think my band as well opened
they-
for them. I
yeah.
remember being so excited to open for these bands, and then
Yeah.
they opened a venue, and now they're giving bands that opportunity. That's
Yeah.
huge.
And I can't tell you how many of those guys from that scene back then have just wiped their hands clean
And just
of
left.
the scene of San Antonio too in general, and have moved to Austin or moved
Yeah.
somewhere else.
Yeah.
You know, it's just
And it's not even just the music industry. I mean, the film industry as well. I mean, Robert Rodriguez is from here,
Yeah.
but he took it all to Austin. I'm going to end up getting hate mail or something from Robert Rodriguez and the Butthole Surfers. They're both going to hate me.
Yeah.
But
you know what? Let him hate, because you know what? Austin is not that city anymore. I'm
There's
sorry.
No such thing as bad publicity.
I'm sorry to Austin.
true.
You know, I love you, Austin. Keep you weird, but you're not where it's at anymore. Like,
Yeah.
I just feel like Austin is so overcrowded and is so just oversaturated with any kind of venue, filmmaker, musician.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you can go to any corner and find anyone just as good as the next person.
Yeah.
And it's like, where do you set yourself apart?
so
Because
they've reached that law of what is it? The law of poor return, negative returns or something, where
yeah, you know,
it
like
becomes so, like you said, oversaturated that nothing can.
yeah, and it used to be this thing where all the great bands were from San
Yeah.
Antonio. I mean, from Austin. So it was like, well, if we want to be a great band, we need to move to Austin.
And then claim
But
it.
then you get this influx of
Everything and
maybe
anything.
not so great bands trying to go to Austin to be that great band.
Yeah.
And so now it's like, well, where have all the great bands gone?
Yeah, there was a shift where, in my opinion, Austin used to be this hub where you could really be creative. People there were so liberal and so open-minded that creativity flourished there. And it
Yeah.
still does, but I think that you have this huge group of kids there that are really genuinely just creative, brilliant artists and musicians and everything, and I respect the hell out of them. And I still love Austin because of its
Yeah.
festivals. It is, the live music capital of the world. So we can't take that away from it. I think there are still supremely talented people there, but it became too aware of itself, to where kids moved there just to be able to say, I'm from Austin.
Yeah.
As if that gave them that credibility of being different or brilliant or artists.
Yeah.
Well, Just because you wear the
osmosis.
turtleneck sweater and sit under the tree writing in a book, it does not make you a poet. You know what I'm saying? So these kids moved there, and it seems like a lot of artists, a lot of bands, and then, you know, this whole hipster movement, it's a bunch of people that went to Austin so that they could be pretentious about something. And that's never what Austin was about. It was just uniquely, creatively, and unaware of itself in one of the most creative places in the United States.
Yeah. Well, I think it's our time.
Yeah,
it really
I think
is.
the title's ready to be taken.
It really is. And, you know, it's crazy because we were just in Brooklyn last October, and it reminds me a lot of Austin. It really does. But the caliber of musicians and the caliber of creativity there in Brooklyn alone was just so much higher and
than anywhere else.
And so much more
States.
vast.
Oh, wow.
And so much more vast.
Crazy.
I mean, in Austin, I feel like, yeah, you can hear a great band, but then a lot of other bands are doing that same thing.
Yeah, nobody's
Whereas
differentiating themselves.
any different bar that we were going to, any different venue that was affiliated with CMJ that we were going to catch shows, every band was amazing, creative to no end, and they were all completely unique and different. And, you know, it's just that's what I feel San Antonio is right now.
Right.
But nobody knows it yet.
Yeah.
And it's just, there are so many different types of music going on, so many talents, so much creativity, but we're just not on the map yet. And I feel like we could be that. We really could be that, but it's just it's going to take the right support. It's going to take the right movement to really make it happen.
Yeah, and I think you're right. I think exactly what you said. The music's here, and I mean, you guys are a great example of a hardworking band that I really think is going to be, if not that first band to help break through, definitely part of that canon that breaks that wall. And I'm just happy to be a part of it.
Thank you.
We're happy to be helping you out too, man. That's
thanks. Yeah, definitely. If you're interested in advertising with 210 Local Music Podcast, please contact me at 210localmusic@gmail.com. You can also find me on Square at www.squareup.com/market/210-local-music.
This is Jason from HydraMelody. You're listening to 210 Local Music Podcast.
I know I've gone off track a little bit, just the way talking goes.
Fine.
Yeah.
Kind of getting back a little bit. You've completed 3 EPs, Day of the Dukes, Maybe One Day, and your self-titled HydraMelody.
Yeah.
What growth do you feel has occurred, aside from changing band members and everything, musically, what growth has occurred between each album? Do you find yourselves honing in? I know earlier we said that your next release, you guys are really putting where you're at now into it, and it's definitely going to be a completely different feel, do you think, compared to those 3, or?
It definitely will be. I feel like even though our EPs have been short, 5 songs, 3 songs, 6 songs, I really feel like we've given our audience a really vast range of music, you know, ballads, really high up-tempo rock songs, and even on our newer album, it's really more pop influenced than the other 2 EPs were, and I feel like my growth there, and as the band's growth, I feel like we've really found what is uniquely HydraMelody, and we've written all of these songs, and we love them all, and we know that fans love them, but there are those ones that people love more than others, and there's this reason for that, and we look into it and we're like,
hone in on that.
Yeah, and it took 3 CDs, but I think now we're able to say we know what HydraMelody is, and we have found ourselves, and it took writing short EPs and writing a poppier EP as our latest one, to really find out like where we are as writers, what we are influenced by, and then what makes the band unique, So I think in that sense we've grown a lot.
So what is your writing process when you guys start with me? I mean, is it a riff? Or is it many different things? Do you all talk about it?
Yeah, I mean, it comes a lot of different ways. Jason and I, we try to get together and write as much as possible. Little acoustic ideas, melody, chords, our guitar player Taylor, he writes a lot at home and does his own little stuff on his computer. And sometimes it does, we're just jamming at practice, and I hear Taylor play a riff, and I'm like, loop that, and I got a chord progression, and I'm just trying to figure out what chord progression fits underneath that lead riff, you know. And, you know, sometimes songs are just birthed out of just necessity and just like accidents almost.
Yeah.
You know?
That's true.
So then that's pretty big variance. I mean, Lego construction versus we just stumbled upon it, and
sometimes it's real like to the T, like we know like this is how the song goes, this is what we're doing. Yeah. Sometimes it's really like a shot in the dark, and we're just kind of
our success writing literally just comes in for putting in the hours. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You may sit down in a room, for 3 hours and nothing happens, and then 15 minutes into the fourth hour, there it is, and you get a song in 20 minutes. So I think one of the things that we're interested in, you know, it's funny, we were talking about places like Austin and stuff like that, is we want to find a location nearby that is feasible for us to kind of get away at, but then still be able to go and socialize, meet new people, but kind of get out of San Antonio, so that we're forced to think independently of what we're used to in every way, socially, emotionally, and all that stuff. So, you know, we've gone to a ranch before, stayed out there in the middle of nowhere for a couple of weeks, and that was really beneficial for us. But I feel like we know that, you know, it may take 40 more songs, and then that 41st is
lightning.
The one.
Yeah.
You know, it's the one that just, we feel this is it, this is our new direction, and I feel we're getting there, and we're really trying to set a goal to try and make this winter that winter for HydraMelody. You know, so that we'll have this new record coming out and just come out with something that almost makes us a little uncomfortable. We want to push our limits, you know what I mean?
Yeah, you want to grow.
Yeah, we don't want to be just, well, we know what to do and we can do it time after time. We kind of want to take this opportunity to scare ourselves a little bit. And we want to listen back on a record where we said, you know, we kind of really explored everything. And where it's a little scary to put out, but we feel like that is what HydraMelody is about, and you know, our fans wouldn't expect anything other than us going and doing something that is a little different. And if anything, it'll give them pride in saying that, you know what, they stepped it up, they changed it up, and they're even more unique, and they could take a little more pride in that. But selfishly enough, it's mainly for ourselves to see if we can push ourselves to get there. And I think that once we scare ourselves into thinking maybe this is genius or maybe this is the worst thing we've ever heard, that's when you know you have a good shot of doing something great, or, you know, flopping. But it's worth the risk.
It's funny. It's almost like I think one of the things that I've always been a fan of Incubus from the get-go. Hearing their evolution, every album they put out, they almost alienated some of their audience and themselves at the same time. It was completely different, and that drive made them better.
Yeah, right. I love albums like that. Incubus is a huge influence.
Yeah, you go and buy it, you're like, oh, this is going to be awesome because I love, you know, Certain Shade of Green, and I'm looking for that next. And then you put in Morning View, and you're like, what?
My favorite album by them is definitely Crow Left of the Murder. Yeah. And it took me like 4 to 5 times listening through it to even get it. Yeah. To even just be like, okay, this is what they're going for.
Yeah, you listen to it the first time, you're like, wait, I don't know how to feel about this.
Yeah, you're like, I don't even get it. It's just like, I'm thinking I'm going to hear like ba-dum, da-ba-dum, bum-bum, da-ba-dum,
like, where's the scratch?
Yeah, right? And it's like, it's do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do, and you're like, what is going on? Like, I don't know. And then I listened to it 3 or 4 times, and I'm like, okay, I get it. Yeah. And it's my favorite Incubus album now. Like, if I had to be on an island with just one Incubus album, it'd be that one. Yeah. But, you know, I think Jason hit on it earlier, too, you know, want to do something that scares us a little bit. I feel like our last 3, you know, EPs, we had our final listen in the studio and, you know, had that nod and, like, people are going to love this. You know, this is going to be great. I really feel like we're purposely going into this endeavor wanting to hear that final mix down and be like,
oh
I really hope people like this, you know. Like I think we're really going into it on purpose this time, you know, to just really feel uneasy about it and really just. I hope they like it, you know, because
and it's one of those things.
That's a great take.
I feel comfortable about it.
You know? We don't want to be in the most respectful way. We don't want to be afraid of anybody else not liking the record. We want ourselves to like it, and I think that's always been that way. And if it was about just rewriting the EPs that we have. I mean, we have demos right now which are California and all of our biggest songs over and over again, but we finally started branching out into this place where we want to write a record that it is very clear that we did it the way we wanted to, with the people we wanted to, with the songs that we were really passionate about, and kind of try and reinvent our sound in a way that is even pushing the envelope even further.
Yeah.
Or actually starting to begin to push the envelope. We don't want to be safe because we want to explore things. We want to find out what can we explore, what can we find out, what can we turn into. And I think that in the end, that is what people really, if we're going to be successful, that's what they love. Because you can see a phony a mile away.
Yeah.
But a band that is honest with themselves about what they're playing, and then if you end up liking it, hopefully, then that genuine sharing of our creativity and our lives with people, that's what creates that bond that takes a band from, oh, they're a good band to, that's a great band. And at least in my opinion, that's the way it's been with the bands that I really care about. I've never liked a phony, and I like people who you could see their soul. You could hear it on that record. And I think that's what we're going to go for, but not be afraid to maybe be a little more vulnerable than we ever have been with what we love, and not be safe.
It takes that gamble. I mean, if you don't gamble anything, you don't win anything. If you're sitting there comfortable, nothing changes. Yeah. So it definitely takes that.
And I've been going back and listening to a lot of old music that, I say old, but stuff that, I'm talking about Blink-182's self-titled album.
We're old.
We're old.
I'm 34.
But I remember being
old as
a junior, and I remember being a junior in high school, and I was a huge Blink-182 fan, Green Day, and we grew up in that pop punk era. Like that's, and I feel like it still kind of shows in the music a little bit. But I remember buying the self-titled album and listening to it and just being like, wow, this is weird. I can't even believe this is Blink-182. Like, this is so dark and just so mean and angry. And, like, and it's one of those things, I listened to it back the other day, and after all these conversations we've had, I'm like, yeah, they definitely were in that studio at their final listen, and they were like, I really hope people like this.
Yeah.
That's
the biggest
pop
punk band in the world right now.
They had to have really felt uneasy about that record, putting it out there, because of how different it was for them. And it's their best record. It's their best record. And it's like, they nailed it. They really did something special.
And it's funny because it's very counter to what the music industry outside of Texas is like. They want cookie cutter. They want, this is the formula for a hit.
Yeah.
So we're going to go in, we're going to do this, and you're going to come out rich. They went against that, and it was a big gamble. And just like you guys are saying, you're taking that big gamble, and when people lay it out on the line, that's when you really see their soul, like you said.
Right. Yeah.
And I'm excited. I can't wait to... Do you guys have a planned date, or is it just working towards it?
We're working toward it. It looks like we may have some time away next month that we're going to take to write. That's not solidified, but we want to have this done come the new year. Or at least be on path to releasing shortly thereafter, depending on who we work with and how those things work out. But I know right now we're trying to demo out as many songs as we can and try and just crank out as many as we possibly can over the next couple of months. And then, I don't know, we're really kind of, and I hate to say it, but I think we're kind of going to go all in with this one, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think that right now we're sitting in a really nice position where this is a really great opportunity for us to find out what we're made of. I think that, so we'll see. It's scary, but, you got to do it. Like you said, take that gamble. You got to bet big to win big, and we could play it safe and stay even the rest of our lives and just be at this level. But I think at this point, we have some really interesting things going on in the industry concerning HydraMelody, and we don't want to do it any other way than our way. So any producer, anybody that wants to work with us, and we've been hit up by several, the demos they're going to hear is like, this is unapologetically HydraMelody. And if you love it, cool. You don't, that's fine. But we are not going to work with anybody that's not excited about it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, we're not going to work with anybody that's looking for the next paycheck. Like, if you want the record, prove it.
Right.
Because,
put in the hard work with us.
Yeah, because we've been approached by people before and almost gone into endeavors where we're like, man, this could just be another paycheck for somebody. It's so hard that the industry has become that way, and we just want to know that we're going to give our all for someone who's going to give us their all as well.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah, I think it takes that mutual respect. I mean, it's kind of funny. I did an interview with Girl in Coma's tour manager, Michelle, and we were talking about Piñata in particular, and I was talking about Faith and how I saw them right after I did the interview with them. They played a show at the Freeman Coliseum, the After Red, and she was in the audience and she was listening to them and she had a smile on her face. That means a lot because I've never seen that. I don't really ever see that. Oh yeah, our manager's in some other city, or our managers, they're not here tonight, or they're not with us, or whatnot. I think it takes that, because if the band's going to stand up there and sweat and bleed, then everybody that's invested in them should be right alongside with them.
Exactly. Yeah.
And it takes that.
It really does.
We talked about Blink-182. As far as music, as far as stuff that you guys listen to, let's go to that guilty pleasures place. The kind of music that you, and I wouldn't say don't want to admit because you're about to, but who you barely admit.
Okay. Mine would be, I have this one damn song, or you know what, I have two. Tim McGraw has a song, Live Like You Were Dying.
That song is so good.
Get over how good that song is. And the lyrics are ridiculous. And I think he talks about riding a bull named Fu Manchu, and he saw an eagle while it was flying. And it's...
Live like you were dying.
It's one of the most... I can't tell you how good that damn song is. And then my other one is also kind of a country song. And I can't believe I'm going to admit to this one. It's a Miley Cyrus song that she had. It's called The Climb. And that song just kicks my ass every time. Okay. And like, some people would say that my favorite band, Third Eye Blind, is embarrassing, but I freaking love that band.
No,
I love
great.
Third Eye.
If you don't like, like people who don't like them. I remember like 5 years ago, it was not cool to like them.
Yeah.
My friends were like, why do you like chick rock, man? And I'm like, chick rock, they're incredible. Now, all of a sudden, it's cool again. So, whatever. But
it's that whole retro thing.
Yeah. Miley Cyrus, The Climb, Tim McGraw's Live Like You Were Dying. If you don't like them, then you don't really love music, okay? Because they just kick ass. They're great songs. What are yours?
For me...
Uh-oh, Jordan.
Okay, this is going to be a little... This one is my embarrassing one. I really I love singer-songwriter stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's what I do when I'm by myself and I'm writing my songs. It's singer-songwriter. And, man, this one's hard. I really think the Goo Goo Dolls are my guilty pleasure. I mean,
bad.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I just feel like the Goo Goo Dolls. Really, I feel like people would look at me and the music.
That is chick rock.
Yeah, and the music.
That is,
I just feel like people that don't know me
embarrassing.
and they're like, oh, he's a singer for HydraMelody, talking about talking on your mess, take off your dress, like he's that guy, and he's talking about liking the Goo Goo Dolls. Yeah. I don't know what it is, but Jason was talking about. I want to see that person's soul. I feel like I can see that guy's soul when he is singing those songs.
Yeah,
he is just laying it out there. He has his heart on that platter, and you can just feel exactly what he's feeling.
Yeah.
That's the kind of stuff that
and that's
I
where
really,
I was saying I don't
really
think that's
enjoy.
embarrassing. I think that's honorable.
I really, really enjoy stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I'm trying to think of another really good embarrassing one. Will Smith. I like Will Smith.
Oh, yeah.
Awesome.
They used to make fun of me, dude. My bands used to make fun of me, dude, back when we were in middle school because I had Big Willie style, man. I was all about getting jiggy with it
I'm
back
walking
then,
down the
dude.
aisles at work. No,
Yeah, dude.
no. People are staring at me. They're like, you're at work. You realize that, right? I'm, no.
Yeah,
I don't care. And I know all the lyrics, of course.
Yeah, me too.
My friend
Ready,
wants
set,
to
let's
go.
go. This is Jordan from HydraMelody. You're listening to 210 Local Music Podcast.
I know you guys have, like you said, kicked it up a notch over the last couple of years. You guys are doing a lot more touring. How often are you on the road compared to being at home?
Regionally, a lot. Out of town stuff all the time. Long tours, every quarter at least right now.
Wow.
But yeah, I mean, how long ago did we get back? We just did, for instance, we just took off on a Wednesday night, drove through the night, played Thursday in Biloxi, Friday Ocean Springs, Saturday New Orleans.
Yeah,
and
you guys were all
had
over
a
the
date
map.
in Houston that actually fell through. I guess something happened, or they had double booked or something.
Oh, no.
And then so we came home. So we do that kind of thing a lot. We've done a lot of runs. And then, for instance, we just did that one in Milwaukee to play Summerfest. Went through Chicago after that. Had a couple shows and stuff. So we do that a lot, and unfortunately sometimes they are like across the country drives.
Oh man.
But I think we've established ourselves in a way now where these venues are taking care of us a little bit better, and we know the city's a little bit better, so it's feasible. But yeah, I mean, we did 40 days straight not too long ago, the whole East Coast and stuff. So
Wow.
Yeah.
Is there a lot of pressure that comes with that? Do you guys feel
it's tough,
stressed
man.
out or
yeah, it's stressful.
exhausted?
It's stressful. It's exhausting. It's really, really, really exciting. So it's like a crazy
Mix of everything.
emotions. But yeah, I mean, it's hard because you're trying so hard for something, and you come home and like you have to go back to real life. No matter how much we are progressing, until we get to the point where we don't have to, we have to come back to that.
Yeah.
So it's hard quitting jobs a lot, and it's hard coming back and trying to start and find a job, and then it's hard, dating somebody, and then you're gone for 40 days, and you just started to date them.
Yeah.
It's hard being gone for 5 days.
Yeah.
Dating somebody, but it's kind of, it comes along with the territory, and it's just as hard for that person as it is for you too. And I feel like it's really weird to go on the road and then come back and then really realize that life goes on without you. Like, it's it's definitely one of those things where you're out there having a great time doing what you love, and you might not even call home but twice in 6 weeks, and you come home and you go back to work, and people have
moved forward
and things have happened, and you're being filled in on all these things that have happened, and you're like, I was playing shows every night, like it's weird to come back and realize that life really does go on without you. And then,
not only that, but to come back to something that's so slow compared to being on the road, and the next morning I'm driving from one gig to the next.
Yeah.
Right.
And then this morning I'm waking up to go to work,
Oh,
it's
man.
like
So then does everybody in the band have full 9-to-5s?
No. I work for either my father or my uncle, which is pretty sweet, because then I can just leave when I need to.
Yeah. That's nice.
But it looks like I'm going to be picking up probably something a little more consistent if I can, or maybe just work for one of them full time. But yeah, I mean, it's hard, man, because by the time you land that job and you finally get your first paycheck for the 2 weeks, you have to quit. Yeah. We're out on the road already, so.
Yeah, it's like, I can't tell you how many times I've gotten the job, and then I finally went through training, and my first shift on the floor just happens to be the same night we have a show. And I'm like, all right, well, I'll see y'all later.
Yeah.
I guess I'll get my training pay.
Oh, man.
Luckily now we're making a little bit of money on the road where like we can eat, or get a hotel. But it's not much more than that, you know what I mean? It's
gas, food, and hotels.
Gas, food, and sandwich kind of thing. But which is better than, when we started a couple years ago, it was like, save all the money from your day job so that we can go on to. Right now, it's no longer that way. So I think that in itself is huge when you consider how expensive gas is and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
I can't believe that right now we're getting to the point where the band's becoming self-sufficient financially by playing shows. And that's really exciting. Yeah, we hustle our merch. We feel like even if we didn't get paid a cent for gas at a venue, we should play so well that night that there's people want to buy our merch. Like, we want to sell the product so hard, and I think that's why we work so hard to be such a live act. Because when you go on the road, man, what a lot of bands who don't go on the road don't realize is you play that sloppy set that you're used to playing here, once, twice a month in front of your friends out there. You're going to come home broke.
Yeah.
You're going to end that trip early if you can't sell CDs and shirts because you kicked ass.
Yeah.
And you can't do that.
That's what I was talking about with Brooklyn. Just in Brooklyn alone, the 2 days, 3 days that we were there, we were like, wow, we would get killed out here.
Oh,
man. With how good we thought we were back in San Antonio, trying to open for a band out here.
Yeah. And
they would kill us. They would just, they would mop the stage with us. And it's like, man, we came back to San Antonio after that tour and really stepped up our game live-wise, because we not only want to be that best live band in San Antonio, but we just want to be that best live band in general. And we got a really good taste of what the competition was like out there. And we came home. A lot of
San Antonio bands don't have that experience.
I don't think it's that. I think it's one of these things, whereas we had been around in the scene for so long, it was just kind of one of those things, like, people had dubbed us, that best band in San Antonio, and it's hard to not let it go to your head at some points, you know. And so we were like, yeah, man, our live show's great. Our live show's awesome. This is
all your friends are telling you, and your parents are saying.
It's like, how could you not think
that?
that? Yeah, you're like, yeah, dude, we're so tight live. And then we go out there and we're like, wow, that band was tight. Like, they were really good. And you're like, okay, now we know what we need to work on when we go back home.
And bands in San Antonio also don't understand. It's like, it's the other thing that I try to tell friends of mine and bands that are up and coming or younger, literally, age-wise and stuff. It's like, they want San Antonio to turn into an LA or a New York music-wise. Well, dude, we have a pretty sweet deal here. Our real estate's kind of cheap, and they pay you to play here. In LA and New York, you pay to play. Yeah. On top of your rent, on top of practicing and all that. So
and a higher cost of living in general.
Exactly. So you've got to be coming out guns blazing, kicking ass if you even want a fair shake. Because if the best bands reside in those cities, then those are still the bands that are going to get signed because they're the best bands. It just works that way. Yeah. So to even compete in a market like that, you have to kick ass, and you have to be willing to pay to play, and be good enough to where they'll let you pay to play.
Yeah. We had never done anything like CMJ before, so to go out there was eye opening for us. And I don't necessarily want to talk about like the caliber of bands here, but I just feel like a lot of bands here focus on the fact that their competition is here. We're a local band. Our competition is the other local bands.
Yeah,
but it's
they think on a broader scale.
Yeah, because once you get to that point where you're that band in San Antonio and you're able to go out, you're going to get a huge eye-opening experience when you go out there and you're like, wow, we are not nearly as good as we thought. Because there are bands out there that are working so much harder than you. And you just don't know it because we have such a good thing here in San Antonio. Right. With low cost of living, getting paid to play, like... they struggle out there, and they have to pay to play, so why not be the best that you can be and throw on the best show that anyone is going to see?
The pressure's on. Yeah.
And so...
Well, you know that. I mean, and you being such a fan of music, I'll just to wrap it up, there's thousands of bands out there. We are not concerned with competing with our hometown. We want everybody here to be successful. Oh, yeah. We have enough competition in LA, New York, Chicago to worry about. But when you worry just about yourself, that's when you really shine. And I think that the best thing that the city could ever do is support each other. There's enough room for everybody. Hundreds of bands come out every year and they're successful. So there's enough room for everybody. What we need to do is band together and join our resources and help each other out. And I think that we've always been super down to help anybody that wants to come on tour with us, or shit, if we can go on anybody's tour that's doing something great, we'd love to help out. Share contacts and get it done. There's enough competition to go around. We could do it together.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and then you get that freedom of being able to build your bill. With your friends, with people with people you are excited about what they're doing musically. That's good. And I think that's something that a lot of people don't realize, that they see themselves as an island. We are this band. This is what we do. This is who we are, and we don't think outside of ourselves. Yeah. That's not really. That doesn't get the creative juices flowing.
Yeah. No, you're right.
So
you can't
learn and grow if
and the world goes on without you if you're not paying attention to it, or if you are.
Yeah.
So you have to be aware, you have to pay attention, you have to stay up to date and read books, magazines, blogs like you're doing, listen to podcasts the way you're doing. You have to do everything that it takes, because you don't ever want to be caught off guard with the world in this industry moving ahead without you.
Right, absolutely.
Which can happen.
Yeah.
So fast these days.
Yeah, definitely. I know I'm taking a little bit of time. I'm just going to ask a couple of questions. My wrap up. If someone were to write a biography about you all, what would it be called?
Can I be cheesy?
Yeah, you can be however you want.
Okay, if it's about HydraMelody, I would say that I would hope it would be called one of two things, which is We Love Everyone We Know, which is after one of our songs.
That would be kind of cool.
Or This Road. Specifically because we do love everyone we know, and I can't tell you how exciting it would be for us to come and share this with our family and friends and fans in this town, to one day show up and do something huge and put us on the map. And it also This Road, because dude, it's tough, man, and it's hard, but I think that it's one of those things that's so beautiful, because anything worth getting, it is not easy to get. And putting in the work and time in something like this, when you get any kind of success, look, we practice 3-4 weeks out of the month for an hour set one time a month. That's how often we get together. So for us, it's like the payoff is so worth it. And I think that, this roader, we love everyone we know. I mean, that really, I think, is what we're about.
Yeah.
I can't even touch that. I mean, that was really good. I would call it no sex, some drugs, lots of rock and roll.
Yeah.
I like that. That's
amazing. It really is. People have this misconception that it's like a party with strippers and hookers 24/7, and it's just like, no, it's like
no, they're expensive.
6 smelly dudes,
sitting in a van drinking an 18-pack to pass out.
18-pack, 6 smelly dudes. Not enough money for more beer, definitely not for drugs, and girls are out of the question because we smell like shit.
Yeah,
so it's
and
like,
nobody wants to go into that van because the van smells like shit.
Yeah, and the majority of the time we spend our time walking around on the phones talking to the girls we're dating back home that are pissed that we're gone.
Yeah.
So, that's what we do.
All right. I like all three of those. All three of them. And I don't know, Jason did set the bar, but that's
pretty nice.
I thought, when you said I'm going to go cheesy, I thought that you were going to go my direction with it. But yours was...
You took the scale. You tipped the scales for that one. So where can everybody find you social media-wise? What are all your links? You're on Facebook and Twitter and...
So everything is at HydraMelody. No underscores, no nothing, which we fought hard to get. And then our personals are our first name Hydra. So it's like Jordan Hydra, Jason Hydra, all of us Hydra.
And that goes for Twitter and Instagram.
Yeah, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, facebook.com/HydraMelody. And then we have 2 websites running right now. One of them is about to be relaunched, and it's going to be a video blog.
Nice.
And that one's called HydraMelodyTV.com. And then our main hub, where you can find links to all of our social networking and everything else, if you're looking to find us anywhere, emails, etc., is just HydraMelody.com.
Awesome. Yeah. And last real quick question.
Sure.
Gearhead section. What kind of gear do you guys use?
Okay. I use a Ampeg. It's actually, I think it's from 73, Ampeg SVT Classic Head, through an 8x10 cab. I have a P bass. It's a deluxe Fender that I really like, and my brother actually just gifted me. He got me as a gift. It's a '67 Gibson EB3 bass, which when he bought it, he got a price so ridiculous. I'm not going to say how much he bought it for, but every store I take it into, every time I try and get it set up or wanted to buy a part for it, I got offered cash on the spot, upwards of like $2,500, and I ended up looking it up, and it's so beautiful, and it's so vintage, and it's mint and original that I don't really have the guts to play it, but at home. So maybe, if one day we get fortunate enough to play the Grammys, I'll show it off there. But outside of that, it's pretty standard P bass, Ampeg SVT Classic, Blue Line kind of thing. So.
Cool. Jordan?
Amp-wise, although my amp's on the fritz right now, I'm running through a Vox AC50, but I've modded it and put those blue Alnico speakers from the AC30 into it. I love that thing. That's my baby. Guitar-wise, I have a Fender Tele and a Gibson Les Paul, though that's not really where I want to be. I would love like a Jaguar or an awesome Jag Stang, like just some P90s, just ripping it up. Yeah, I would love a guitar like that. Yeah. And pedal-wise, like anything way huge, Zevex, full tone. I love those pedals. I love to mess with my tone and stuff like that. So
that's good. Constant.
But because I'm a rhythm guitar player, it's more so just about the amp and the guitar.
Yeah.
So Vox, I feel like, is my amp of choice if I had to get something to be a Vox. Yeah.
Cool.
And I want to add one thing, because this is my Bible. If you're a bass player and you don't own a SansAmp, you're screwing around. Buy one. It's what you need. You add a little bit of that gain, and it just tightens your tone, adds that compression you want, so everything's punchy and nice. Yeah. Saves you when your strings are getting a little older, and more importantly, we were playing Summerfest at an amphitheater where in front of us there's enough space for 20,000 people. Like, we're talking like a Verizon Wireless size type stage.
Oh my god.
And the amp exploded. It just like blew out, and I had no monitors either because the monitor board went out at the same time.
Oh my god.
Because I had my SansAmp, it sounded as if,
he was running through the
amp
best amp
in the world. Perfect. So, and it was just direct out of a pedal, straight to the board. So if you're a bass player and you don't have a Sans amp, you're obviously not touring.
Yeah.
So buy a Sans amp and then get on tour.
Yeah, I'm not touring, so I got a Fender.
You gotta check it out, yeah.
Man. Oh, and just real quick to kind of cover it, you guys won, how much was it? 20,000?
20,000.
Yes, 20,000, yeah.
Has that been, I mean, obviously, of course, it's been a huge help.
It's been a huge help. I think what's cool about it is that it has afforded us the ability to open up and entertain some ideas, producers, touring, things like that. But we're going to hold on to it. We're going to build on it because we are going to be really, really smart. I will tell you there's been a couple opportunities already that have come through for us that fortunately we had the money for, that we have just bit the bullet and decided it wasn't the right time or the right situation for us. So we're not anxious to spend it.
Yeah.
But it has opened up the opportunity where, like we said for this record, when we find that right team of people,
we finally have the capital to.
We're going to have the capital to really go and give it everything it's worth.
That's awesome. Yeah, and I mean, you're approaching it from a business sense, I think.
Yeah.
Some bands would be like, "Woo, I'm gonna go blow this."
Oh, dude, people would have gold top Les Pauls and all
yeah,
this stuff.
Exactly.
And I can't tell you how many times I wanted to just go buy this sick bass.
I'm sure it's there.
I can't tell you how many bands would have just split it 6 ways and that's a good chunk of change 6 ways, you know.
Yeah.
Like,
and we all decided to put it into a pool to reinvest it. And I mean, I think, I mean, past the record, then the PR and touring and stuff, we know 20K is nice. Luckily, we had a little bit in savings, but we're working on. We really want to cover all the bases this time, not play catch up.
Right, right, exactly. I think that business sense is helping out.
I hope so. We'll find out soon. We'll know in January.
All right. Well, thanks for your time, guys. I really appreciate it, and I can't wait to hear the next album and see you guys live. I'm really looking forward to that soon. If I can convince the wife.
Well, do us a favor. When we're done with the record, I'll give you a call, and if you'll give us an exclusive, we can.
Hell yeah.
You'll be the first to hear.
Yeah, definitely. And actually, something that I'm looking into doing very shortly, because over the last few weeks I've had a major influx of music, a lot of bands saying, hey, here's our stuff, here's the release, put it on. I want to eventually develop not only the podcast, but every few episodes maybe do a full hour of nothing but music and have it be 210 Local Music Radio.
That'd be awesome.
And maybe eventually, if that grows, split that off into its own thing. And
shit, you might have a festival one day. Who knows?
Oh, that'd be awesome. Well, actually, I just teamed up with, I hope I'm good saying this. I think I am, because I've got the email proving it, but Socio Band, and I kind of hooked up. I asked them for sponsorship. They said, yeah, we can't do it, but you can be at the MonsterCon Festival at the, oh my God, at the Bijou Theater at Crossroads. Well, it's not Crossroads anymore. I don't know what it is anymore. But that's going to be happening at the end of September, I believe. Okay. And they're like, yeah, you set up a booth, get a poster, do your merch, and live podcast anything and everything you can. And I'm like,
that's awesome.
So you can live podcast?
I can. I haven't done it yet.
Oh, but
so I'm nervous. Yeah, I'm nervous about it. But
that's awesome.
It's one of those things where I'm like, I'm scared.
Yeah.
But if it pays off, just like that gamble we were talking about, it could be something.
Well, let us know how we can help.
That's awesome.
We'd love to be part of it.
Life is supposed to be scary.
It should be, right? Or else you're not living.
Exactly.
Right? Awesome. Well, thanks again for your time, guys.
Thank you.
Catch up with you guys soon.
Sounds good.
Awesome.
That concludes my interview with Jason and Jordan from the HydraMelody. If you're interested in seeing them, they're actually going to be headlining a show at Jack's Patio Bar tomorrow, August 10th at 8 p.m. Joining them will be The Sound of Curves, Terra Firma, Cascadia, and Julian Gill. It's going to be an all-ages show, $12 cover at the door, $10 pre-sale tickets available through frontgatetickets.com. Jack's is located at 3030 Thousand Oaks Drive, right here in the Alamo City. It's a great venue with great bands, and I know it's going to be a great night. And if you're listening to this podcast episode after August 10th, then I'm sorry, but you kind of missed it, and it was kind of a great show. Anyway, there's some more great news coming to 210 Local Music in the next few weeks. Aside from Episode 8 with San Antonio artist Stacy Doodle and Episode 9 with Love and Rome, including an acoustic set, we're also promoting an event at Backstage Live on August 30th at 9 p.m. This will be AFOS's Turn It Up Till You Max Out Back to School Bash. He was featured in podcast episode 3, and will be joined by DJ Hans, Jonathan Perez, JP, and Amanda Austin. There will be a bead contest with first place taking home $100 and second taking home $50. Special VIP deals with bottle service are going to be available as well. It's going to be a blast. I look forward to seeing all of you there, a bunch of you there. And also, I'm very excited to announce a very special episode coming soon, 210 Local Music Radio. This episode will be approximately 1 hour's worth of just music, and me telling you who the band is and the song title. In my opinion, radio the way it was meant to be. Since I control the content, it's my show, and I decide what I can do and what I want to do. So I'm going to bring you all some great music, and I want you to keep an eye out for that episode within the next few weeks. To all the bands that have submitted your songs, I thank you. For those who have yet to send me anything, please contact me at 210localmusic@gmail.com, and we'll see about getting you featured, or at least on one of the 210 Local Music Radio episodes. I'm still looking for sponsorships and advertising, so if you know a mom and pop business, or are a mom and pop business, and are interested, let me know via Facebook, Twitter, or our email address. Again, that was 210localmusic@gmail.com. Thanks again for listening. You can subscribe on iTunes, Stitcher Radio, Podomatic, Podbean, Zune Marketplace, or the BlackBerry Marketplace as well. And please check out our newsletter on our website and register for that. I've gone on long enough, so here's the HydraMelody with Oceans, the song you've been getting teasers of throughout this podcast, and after that, Belmar. Thanks for listening.
Cold is coming on strong and I am shivering. Shiver was the last thing that you made me feel. Out into the world, packed with all my doubt. If I get lost here, I'll figure it out. I'll figure it out. Hope be the